is really good. We agree that giving out the food will help the people temporarily and not for the future. We believe that giving the food is actually bad because the political parties has its own purposes in order to get the voters, in order to get the voice from the people or even society. We believe that could happen in the future, ladies and gentlemen. And we believe that right now people give out something in order to get something. For example, before the election they do good things and they do the bad things after the election. They will not even care about the people who have given them the voices to these political parties, ladies and gentlemen, and this was not touched by the opening opposition team, ladies and gentlemen. And what we want right now is that the political parties will help the developing countries in the future or even forever and not temporarily, ladies and gentlemen. By reducing the starving of the foods will just do a temporary effect towards the society. But we as the government we want this will happen like forever, ladies and gentlemen. So this is like cooling society, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll have to think about the future and not temporarily. What is better to increase the economy in the short time? Meanwhile, we can increase the economy in a very, very long time, ladies and gentlemen. And this was not considered by the opening opposition team, ladies and gentlemen. So, actually, what we want here is that the political parties should show the achievements and should give the goals of what they're gonna do in the future and not giving out the foods that will have a temporary effect, ladies and gentlemen. And going to the first substantive is that it's actually a form of voting in the society that will do good in the beginning in order to get the voices from the voters, in order to get something that will benefit to the political parties, ladies and gentlemen. Just imagine living in developing countries which has a lot of people who are actually uneducated, and the minorities will know nothing about the political parties just because they have given them the foods that will consider them as good people, these political parties. And these uneducated people will think that these bad political parties will do good in the future. We don't think so, ladies and gentlemen, because this political parties has its own purposes, has its own goal in order to get the election or in order to get the place in the institution of Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. So this is not even considered by the opening opposition team. So this is actually kind of bad, ladies and gentlemen. And they will be good in the beginning and bad in the end, and we will create a really, really huge problem in the society where people actually do not benefit from these political parties, and we do not even know what they're going to do in the future, ladies and gentlemen. So there have been so many political parties that have been benefited from this society, that have been fooled by these political parties by just giving out their foods, ladies and gentlemen, because they're actually fooling these society, ladies and gentlemen. And second is that massive numbers of people will come to the place where foods are given, ladies and gentlemen. Just imagine a massive groups of people and political parties, and which consists of mass people, ladies and gentlemen. And let's consider, for example, in Indonesia, there is a place and giving out the foods, and there have been so many people from the minorities come to the place and are starting with that and want some food, and they will do harm to this massive of people. Most people will be like unconscious or even dead, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not even considered by opening opposition team, ladies and gentlemen. So this is very evil. And secondly is that, for example, a logical example is that there is a sugar and ants. Even there is a sugar, a mass full of ants will come and eat the sugar away, ladies and gentlemen. So this is like very important to consider for the opposition team, ladies and gentlemen. And also, the political parties will get a very bad stigma in the society by the majority people in the Senate. Why do we say so? Is that by giving out the food will make a stigma to the political parties itself. People will think that it's just an offer in the beginning in order to get a voice for the people who are uneducated or even who live in the society or even who live in the poverty line, ladies and gentlemen. So this is not really good, and this was not even considered by the opening opposition. And political parties itself do not even have the feeling to the society, otherwise they will do the good thing in the beginning, and all they want is a place in the institution, and they will do everything in order to get the place in the institution. For example, like giving out the foods, like the opening opposition say, ladies and gentlemen. So this is really bad, but they will do everything because political parties consist of many people who are actually majority, and the minorities who do not know everything, ladies and gentlemen. So the majority will help and give out the money, and will be spent on foods and given out to the people who live under poverty, ladies and gentlemen. So this is really bad. money politics is political parties have so much money collected from the members who are majority and spend the money to the people. When the people have to show the achievement, these political parties have to show the achievement and their goal as political leaders to help the country to develop and not temporarily to develop. Ladies and gentlemen, we want a future impact towards society, so towards the government who live under the poverty. We are living in a developing country, so we want this developing country to develop and not temporarily developing. Ladies and gentlemen, and political parties consist of people who are populism oriented, meaning that they have the control of a massive people. Just imagine if these political parties give so much food and give so much basic things that this society needs. This will actually do a very bad thing, because these massive people will do bad things what these political parties want. For example, when this political party wants, and we have to destroy this kind of society, we have to destroy these political parties just because you have a very massive people. You have to do this thing to make a stand for this political party to stand, ladies and gentlemen. So this is really bad, ladies and gentlemen, because the purpose of the democracy is to get the best leader, to increase the economy of the people. And if you want to get the people's vote, you have to impress these people by giving up your goals, by giving up your achievements that you have done in the past. And what we are not saying is that giving the food is bad, and giving the food is good, but it has a bad process in the last. What we want to offer here, what we want to offer is that this is not this. What we want to offer is that you have to give the education that will impact to the future, and not this temporary thing, because the education will help the developing country to develop. It will help these uneducated people to be educated, and will help this society to develop in its developing country, ladies and gentlemen, because this society are very starving for education, and they do not even want the food. We believe that this motion should stand. Thank you.